So as I was saying, the Eucharistic ministers, lectors, the ministers of music, altar servers, all of them come 15 minutes early, are supposed to. And at 10 minutes before, right, 10 minutes before we celebrate Mass, all of us gather back there for a prayer before we go out to celebrate the liturgy and take up our ministry. The only ones that don't do that are the ushers, because your ministry is going on while all of us are back there. And so I'm going to use the prayer that we are going to all be using back there right now for our opening prayer. And there will be copies made of this and laminated, so you can always have it for yourself if you want to pray it when you first come to church, to say, you know, this is dedicating us to serving the community today. All right? So let us pray. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Heavenly Father, please pour your best blessing upon our ministry today. We are your unworthy servants who have been chosen by your grace. We ask you to be powerfully present in every word we speak, every note we sing, every action we perform, so that through the power of the Holy Spirit, you may be glorified. We ask this through Christ our Lord. Amen. 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 All right, so the handout that you got is some of the things that I need to go over with everybody. I must tell you, you're getting off the hook a little bit here compared to the ministers of Holy Communion and the lectors, because I prepared the classes in the order they were being given, and I ran out of time when I was doing the ushers, so you don't have as much on your list. My brain didn't generate as much, but what I have, I share. So, if we go first, the ushers, of course, this is just a renewal. Ushers arrive 20 minutes before Mass because your role is multiple, your role. And so the role of the usher in the community, the assembly, is not just somebody who takes up the collection. We always grab a hold of people, and I'm so glad you came to be an usher. It's so great, because the people are always grabbed to help take up the collection. But that's not the role, just the only role of the usher. As a matter of fact, it's a minor role in some ways of the usher, because the ushers, they're the ones who have to greet and seat the community. So greeting people, welcoming them back after a week away, saying hello to them, all of that is part of what the usher does. They are the face of hospitality, the face of welcoming Jesus to the community. So that's an important role. The other role, one of the other roles, is communication between the assembly and the celebrant. The ushers are the ones who, whenever something is going on, if the celebrant needs to know, are the ones who are permitted to go up and interrupt and talk to the celebrant to tell him that there is something that needs to be taken care of. That happens when there's emergencies of somebody becoming sick or ill or injured, or some kind of other emergencies that we need to all deal with. That's something that has to be communicated. And in your guidelines, the guidelines that I've given out to the new ministers who came, but all the rest of you, I'll give them just, you had these before, but you might as well have a copy of them again in case you lost them. You have yours, you have yours. There you go, you guys. Them too. Those guidelines will give you some of who does that communicating primarily. Usually it's the head usher of that particular Mass who goes up to the main celebrant. But one more. And however, in the absence of if the head usher is engaged in taking care of the situation, he or she may send somebody else up to make the communication so that, whoever the celebrant is knows what's going on. Security is another part of the job of the ushers. Security issues, such as if there is an emergency, if there's a fire, if there is an active shooter situation, the ushers are the ones who are trained to respond and to help the whole assembly respond correctly. Because we cannot have training for the whole assembly about everything that has to be done, but we can train the ushers about how to lead people. You can think of it this way, say this is a big giant airplane and you're all flight attendants. And one of the primary jobs of the flight attendant, although we don't think of it that way, the primary job of the flight attendants is the safety of the passengers in emergencies or anything else. So they know how to direct people when they have to go out exits, they know how to do all that stuff, they know to tell them where to go, how to do things. So that's all the stuff that the ushers do. And along those lines is first aid, being able to respond when somebody does have an emergency, which we have here periodically. Matter of fact, at Daily Mass the other day we had one. So we have to make sure, and the ushers are the ones who know the protocol, what to do, and how to get emergency people here, how to get a person to the back, how to get them in and out, that kind of thing. The ushers take care of all of that. Among that also is guiding all processions, not just the offertory procession, but the processions to communion, the processions for getting some other sacramental moment like ashes or anything else. All the processions of the church are guided by the ushers. So if we have a procession outside the church or around the church, all of that is the ushers have to be the ones to keep everybody in order and to help everybody know what they're doing. So those are some of the roles. Needless to say, the ushers have the more involved role of anybody else in the entire assembly of the Eucharist. The ministers of Holy Communion, they have to serve Holy Communion at a particular time. The lectors, they have to proclaim the word at a certain time. But the ushers have to be on duty, doing all the things they do all throughout the whole liturgy, before it starts and after it's over. So those roles are really quite important. So it's important that you get here early, 20 minutes. In the guidelines, I won't go over all of that, the head usher already has, according to the guidelines, things they know they have to check. You know, are the bulletins in the right place? Do we need to place some things in the pews like we just did? I got the new ushers to help me put the faith and charity appeal things out today. And other things that need to be done, usually the head ushers already know what that is. Maybe it is making sure the bathrooms are looking correct and have enough toilet paper and stuff down there. That doesn't mean that the ushers clean the bathrooms, but it does mean that they come back and report that whoever is in charge, the maintenance men, did not clean this bathroom before the Sunday Mass and it needs to be done. Or if they go to this restroom and find out that it's out of the paper, the ushers should know where to get it. Well, the head ushers usually do. Right in that confessional there, the reconciliation room, right inside the door, there is a key hanging up, hidden in there for the ushers and for those of us who know about it, the people who clean here, where you can go unlock the closet in that bathroom, and that's where we put a stock of the toilet paper and paper towels and things like that. If it looks like it's running out, you just take a couple rolls and put them up on the shelf so that people have them. That kind of thing is just sort of a hospitality ministry. So before Mass starts, the ushers usually make sure everything's where it needs to be and everything's okay to get started, and then they begin to greet the whole community. And I'm going to, explain how we're changing that, a little bit. We're not going to anymore greet people inside of the main body of the church. Greeting will always go on in the vestibule of the church. And when it does, what I'd like to have us do is to keep those inner doors closed. That's this set of doors right here. They're the inner doors, and the outer doors on the other side. Especially if an outer door is propped open, because then it causes all kinds of havoc in here. But like all of our heat goes out, or air conditioning, or whatever. But the inner doors are also closed for the sake of there not being a constant noise in the back of church while people are trying to pray. When people come to church early, they're coming because they want to pray. And they can't pray if in the back of the church we're hearing, "Oh my gosh, how you doing? Oh my, you had a new grandchild? No kidding, da, 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 da." It's all going on and on and on. You're like, okay, you know, I think I can pray my decade of the rosary, but I can't get that noise out of my head. So the noise is going to stay in the foyer or the vestibule. There will be, you assign one usher at the door to open the door for the inner door from that side, from the vestibule side, to just open it up for people and welcome them in, and then let it close back again. That's a lot of work, of course. It's opening and closing the door all the time. Just consider yourself like a New York City doorman. But that way we keep the most of the noise down out there and not in here, and it helps. So that way, I'd like us to start doing it that way, so we make sure we don't have that noise all the time in the church. Keep the inner doors closed. I have that on there. One usher should open the doors. Look, I did this even without looking. The director of all ushers. Okay. Joe is not here. He couldn't be here today. But I want us to start taking up our positions as they're supposed to be during Mass, which means that there has to be an usher and that usher's family or whatever right over here near that door. Another usher over here near that door. Two ushers in the back plus the head usher, and an usher over this side and an usher over this side for those doors. Now, there's several reasons for that. The responsibility, we did go over this before, we just have never gone into it. I think it's in the guidelines to a certain degree. That particular usher is responsible for keeping his or her eye on this section, so that if they see somebody is looking for a restroom, the usher responds to that person, says, "Just go over this way, go down, it's right in that corner." Or if somebody is having a problem, they're having an issue, a health issue, you'll notice it. You're the first one to find out, to inform the head usher, who's going to inform the person who is celebrating the Mass, to make sure maybe we have to stop, maybe somebody has to call 911, whatever it might be. So each usher will have a section that they are responsible for, all right? And that way, they are able to keep their eye on everything that's going on there. It's also important for when I start to train the congregation about emergencies such as a fire evacuation or a emergency of a active shooter or an active a person who has ill intent of some sort or another. The ushers are the ones who are going to be controlling the doors. And will have to know when people can go out those doors and where the people have to go when they go out those doors. For instance, if there's a fire, we all go out, and it's very easy. We just assemble right in front of the rectory. And on this side, we just assemble right past the parking lot all over there. And that's easy. We can still see the church. We know what's going on. We can take instructions after that from the firefighters and know whether it's a false alarm or whatever it might be. So a fire emergency, we train the congregation where that place is. If it is something more threatening, if it's an active shooter thing, somebody, say, comes in from the back, there are things that are supposed to be done with an active shooter. But if we're going to flee, it's going to be the usher's job, just like it is for the persons who are the flight attendants, to check outside to make sure there's no threat outside that door or that door or that door, that somebody else hasn't staged themselves there, and sending people out is sending them to danger. So you will know that. And once we know that people can evacuate out, then we know where they're going to go is going to be someplace out of sight. So all the people on this side are going to go all the way over to behind the school, and all the people on this side are going to go all the way over to where the Guardian Defenders is and down into to the side to stay out of view for safety. Another thing that's an important safety thing is nobody's allowed to get in their car. If they get in their car and try to escape, they just form everybody gets backed up and everybody's sitting ducks then, and you can't do that. You have to tell everybody, no, if there's an emergency, do not get in your car and leave. First of all, you may have to be questioned afterwards about what you saw or what you knew or whatever, but also so you don't put yourself or other people in danger. All right? So those are just things that the ushers are going to do, and that's why they need to be at those doors. Also, sometimes those doors are locked, and somebody goes down to go to the bathroom and comes up and they're banging on the door to get in. And you'll be there to do that, or you'll be there to unlock that door to let people come back up. Another concern about doors is children going down there by themselves. No, never. Children should never go into the lower level of the church by themselves for their safety. You know, we have had people who have come in here and, you know, they were supposedly members of the congregation and went down those steps and set things on fire down there. You remember that, right? The trash can. Or they went down and took all of the bathroom and trashed it or something or other like that. But worse would be if somebody went down there and a kid goes down there and the kid gets abducted while the parent's sitting up here. So when a child is going to go to the bathroom, you have to stop them and say, wait, where's your mother, where's your father? You know, show me where they are, because they have to go with you. They have to accompany you, or you direct the child to go over there, so they're not going downstairs, so they're in our sight. All right, so we got to protect children. Anyway, so that's why we're going to start doing that. What I wanted Joe to do was what I was supposed to do, but never got a chance to, which is to get the brass plaques that are going to go on those pews saying this pew is reserved for the usher and their family, so that we make sure that they can do that. I already have created those just in paper. I have created these signs to start getting people ready for that. Beginning Sunday, March 24th, this seat is reserved for the usher. If this is your regular place to sit, I apologize for taking your seat, Father John. So, you know, because you know people are going to get upset. Because these two seats in the back pew on either side, are usher's seats. So I know I'm going to displace a couple people from their sacred spot. And you're in a good spot, because that's your spot anyway. You like that spot. We're going to have to sign you over there. So that gives us an idea of where the ushers are going to go. Now also, that would mean when people are leaving, there will actually be an usher there to give them the bulletin or any other handouts there are, instead of them being told that there are some sitting out there on a buffet or whatever, or a credenza. So the ushers will actually say goodbye to people from all the doors if we can. So ideally, as I said before, we should have 7 ushers. 7 ushers. 6 plus the head usher. The head usher is not supposed to take up the collection. The head usher is supposed to stay in the back and wait for everyone to come back and be in charge of collecting the money into one basket. So they should be ready to do that, and all the ushers take their sections. And you'll already have your basket at the door where you are serving, so you don't have to go to the back and come back up again and that sort of thing. You'll have it already. So we need that for those purposes as well. Let me go over a couple other things then. Okay, before we get to the officiatory procession, just greeting and saying goodbye. Any questions about that? Or problems, or I know some people, I already know that poor Tom is going to have a problem because Mary's spot is right here.
Oh, I know.
And God forbid if anybody should take it. So she's not going to want him in a different spot of the church, but we'll have to bring her over to the side of the light somehow or other. Anybody else questions about greeting and?
Not greeting, but where are the assigned pews? Like which pew for what door?
Okay.
You know, which
Oh,
one particular?
I'm going to walk back there. So it has to be, it'll be this seat because you can see the door. Same thing on that side. It wouldn't be, whoever sits there, this is their area of responsibility. However, it might make sense for them to sit here so they can see everybody in that area, but then they can't see the door. So you're going to be able to see the door here. The person's going to be able to see the door over there. Persons on that side are going to be sitting in the very back pew. Not necessarily the one that's against the wall over there, but in the pew so they can see, they're the first ones to go near that door to see that door. All right? And then the other two, of course, are right back in there. So I'm sure there's going to be a hustle for who gets the prime seats. But you can switch it up as head ushers. So, you know, Pat, you can always say, well, this week, you know, you got A, you got B, you got whatever. For anybody who doesn't like being in the wing, we can figure that out. And that next week, don't worry, you're in the back where you get to stay in the back all the time. So
March 24th.
March 24th is when I'm hoping we will, yes, we'll have the brass ones by then. I'm just like getting everybody prepared who is in those areas that, you know, it's going to change a little bit and you're going to lose your seat. So now you got a few weeks to start choosing where you're going to sit instead. So
in some point, Father, we're going to abandon the position because we know the collection and other things that is part of the Mass, so we have to.
The collections will be exactly that. Whoever's over there, they collect that area. Whoever's over there, they collect that area.
Okay, because Spanish Mass is different. The money come here.
Yeah, the Spanish Mass has to change.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. This is the way it's going to be. You're going to have an usher there. You're going to have an usher over there. So you have to have 7 ushers. Now, we don't have 7 ushers in all of the masses. This is where we have to recruit extra ushers. So I am empowering you to just look for people, ask the people who regularly take up the collection, help you with the collection, whether they would be willing to serve in the full role of usher instead of just helping with the collection. Ushers are also identifiable. So the ushers have a uniform. It is, now this is going to change a little because everybody's told me this, but it's going to be, we have burgundy maroon jackets, a white shirt, and it used to be a gray pants, but we're going to move to black pants because a lot of people say, well, we have black pants and we don't want to go out and buy gray pants and that kind of thing. So we'll switch to black pants, white shirts, and the burgundy jacket, a name tag that has your name on it and identifies you as an usher. This way, if somebody needs to find an usher, they'll see somebody and they'll know who they have to go to for help. They'll know who they are and what they look like. All right? Make sense? Mm-hmm. All right. Now, it's for the offertory procession. The offertory procession, we're going back. This is not even something new. We're trying to get back to where we were pre-COVID. Besides the elements of the wine and the bread that come up in the procession, the intercessory prayer book should be coming up. So another thing we have to always remember is that you have to make sure that the person carrying the bread is on the left and the person carrying the water and the wine is on the left. So when they're coming up, I can give those things to the altar servers who are here. The person behind them, the third person, is carrying the intercessory prayer book that is given to me, which I take up, pray a little bit, and then place on the altar. Okay? So we have 3 people in that altar, on that procession. Or if there's kids, you can split the water and the wine between them, so there's 2 of them as well. Okay? So let's make sure that the offertory procession goes along those lines. That there's three people at least, and it's done that way. Now I hope that we can even get back further to the times when we used to have assigned people as the offertory procession, where parishioners used to sign up, believe it or not, to be and many times it was the family whose mass intention it was. So they're having the mass said for their mother, and they would like the grandchildren to bring up the gifts at that mass, because the mass intention is for the kid's grandmother or something like that. So we'll try so that it's not a burden on the head usher to run around the church trying to get somebody when so many people turn you down. Right?
Can I just say something? I asked 2 single women, I mean, they were alone.
Right.
I don't know if they were single or
Yeah.
married. One sat on that side, one sat on this
Yeah.
side. I went to this lady and I said, would you like to be in the offertory procession? She said, oh, I'd be thrilled, but she said, who will go with me? I said, I'm going to ask that lady over there. And she said, good. She said, at other masses, they never let people who are alone take the gifts up. I said, well, it's going to be different at this mass. So I've used her a couple times.
That's good,
now,
yeah.
and she's thrilled.
Yeah.
You know, she happens to be a widow.
Right.
So, you know,
And it doesn't have to be, they don't have to be from the same family.
Right.
You can get 2 different people.
Yeah.
And the important thing is, well, let's see, we have 2 head ushers here. So the important thing is also not to just choose from the people that are closest to the back, but choose people that are from over these sides too, because they very rarely get asked, because you know, you stand in the back and you look and you say, oh, I'm going to go ask those people right over there. So you see them and you go and ask them, but you know, try to get some of the people that are sitting over here to also help with the offertory procession. Okay? So the offertory procession is one thing we're changing around a little bit. Yes, go ahead, Marcos.
My big question is about where you want them to sit for the offertory, because sometimes before they look at the person for this side, that side, and it takes so long to get ready for the procession. Do you put a specific one area where the offertory people gonna sit?
No, they're not going to sit in a special place. If they're coming from different parts of the church, they'll come from different parts of the church. Yeah, we're not going to make them all sit together.
So
What
now-
have you just heard what Pat was saying? This person may not be related to that person, but they're going to help with the bring up the
So
gifts.
at one moment, the usher had to go to the family to bring it for the procession of the.
No, that once they choose the family, they tell them to make sure they come back during the offertory when the ushers are taking up the collection. As soon as you put your envelope in, come stand in the back and wait.
So now the altar server, what?
Altar servers do nothing.
No.
They come here.
No, but when the time for them to come in the middle, the aisle? When you stand up, you mean?
Yeah, as soon as the acolyte is done setting up the altar, it's time for the offertory procession. But yes, if the offertory taking up the collection is taking longer, I might wait, I may stay seated. But as soon as I stand up, they should come to here. Yeah.
Can you tell the ministers, a lot of times they don't start on that side, and when they don't give communion on that side first, then all the people starts cluttering up, trying to come around and everything.
Yeah, that's another problem also with the fact that we don't have enough ministers. We don't have enough Eucharistic ministers, so at some masses, you're 8 o'clock, right? And 8 o'clock's our biggest problem. We don't have enough lectors, we don't have enough Eucharist ministers, we don't have enough ushers. So the Eucharistic ministers, if we have enough of them, then there's somebody assigned there, somebody's assigned there, somebody's assigned to the chalices, and somebody's assigned here. But when there's not, and you're right, when I know there's nobody, I would go there first and let everybody here wait. And then I finish that section, then I come over here and do this section. So that is the way it should be done if a minister is not present who we need, so we have a hole. The hole should be filled properly. Yes, go ahead.
In the past, we had active shooter training. Are you going to bring that back up?
I will, yes.
All right.
I will. Yeah.
That including also the first aid?
And first aid as well. We've done first aid before, but we also did, for those who could, we also did CPR training and also familiarization with the AED, which is down here and needs its battery changed, by the way. Pat, could I get you to change the battery to that?
Good.
I have it in sacristy. Thanks. So just familiarization. Not every usher has to know CPR, but we offer the course so that ushers do get familiar with it. So if we ever have to do it, or when we did the CPR course last time, they also had the AED. Am I saying that right? AED training as well. We learned how to put the things on the chest and when, and tell everybody to move away, and when to do the paddles and all that sort of thing. So yeah, that's something. Now, I don't want you all to get overwhelmed and think, oh my God, we're going to be going to training constantly. This is like going back to college. We only get those things maybe once a year, or maybe once every other year, but we try to do something just to get us familiar. We're lucky enough that usually we're going to get somebody from emergency services here pretty quickly. But if somebody does have a heart attack and their heart stops beating, then we should at least know how to do CPR. Even if we don't know how to use the AED, we should know how to do CPR.
Yeah, the training for AED, you all have them by the side door, right? Is that where they're
The AED is
located
right
now?
over there, yeah. There's one.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and it's at that door because it's also for downstairs if something happens at bingo or someplace else. It's accessible to both floors. Go ahead, Dawn.
A security concern for me is that if we're all up here, that's a big space now back there that we can't see if someone with a gun were to enter the back of the church until they were here, which that's just what I've been thinking, because I can't see anybody back there. It's just a big empty space. And we have a
Absolutely,
lot of-
absolutely, that's a concern. And even if we had somebody back there, if somebody's going to burst through there, they're going to get through pretty far if they're bursting through. That's why we keep those doors are the only doors open. I've toyed around with the idea of after Mass begins at a certain time, we lock those doors and somebody, if they come late, they're out of luck, or we have to keep an usher back there to open the door, that kind of thing. But that's a little bit extreme for the level of threat we may have. We don't have a high level of threat. If we ever got a higher level of threat that was directed towards especially churches or Catholic communities, then we would definitely take extra steps and tell everybody we're going to go a step higher, just because there's this threat.
Could we get like a mirror, maybe on each side for the usher that's back there, just so
You
that
could be like 007, get out your compact. Or was that Agent 99?
But we want to pay attention to the Mass.
Right, you have to pay attention to the Mass, that's true. So, no, I think we're okay in terms of not being able to see those doors. I don't want somebody to be standing back there the whole time. And even if you're sitting there or standing there, they're going to come through that door. It's not as if you're going to be able to stop them. The ushers in the back are going to be able to stop them. it's going to be, if I see them coming, I'm going to have to shout to the ushers instructions, you know, or the whole congregation, everybody down, or everybody out, you know, and the ushers will guide people out and they'll check the other doors to see if it's safe out there and send them out further, or if it looks like it's not safe out there, to send them all downstairs. I also have other exits planned. Like we can all go out if we needed to, if there was somebody and in the building and we were down there, we don't want to get trapped down there, we can all go out the ski chute, which nobody knows about, which goes out onto the lower level in the woods.
What I learned from the class was there was 3 rules. You run, hide, or fight.
Run, hide, or fight. Right?
And that's the best way to go by if you got an active shooter.
And the only thing we have to fight with?
Our hymnals.
Missilettes.
Yeah, they're heavy.
You know what?
That's-
Not only
that's a lot
that,
heavier than you think.
you can't shoot straight when you're ducking.
Exactly.
So.
But
Well, let's hope we don't have to worry about that, but we should have some knowledge of what the rules are.
Yeah, but
I think most people have gotten run, hide, fight.
in real panic situation, everybody gonna start running outside the door. So not even waiting for the ushers to show them instructions. They're gonna start running away from the church.
Well, it's the same thing with a fire.
Yeah.
That's why you do practices. That's why we're going to end up saying we're going to practice a fire drill someday at one of the masses. Say, you know, there is an alert of a fire. You know, everybody, you know, and they know that this is where you're going, and that's where you go. And we probably won't go all the way out into the outside, but we'll let everybody know that they're supposed to follow the ushers and keep repeating that so they know that they have to do that. It's no different than being on a plane. There's going to be somebody who's not going to listen, who's going to run up and who's going to do something, or going to grab their suitcase because they're not going without their suitcase. There's always somebody who's not going to do anything, but that's why you do training, because when people are trained, they're more likely to do that and follow those rules more often. More people will be likely to do that than panic the whole place. So let's face it, it's a panicking moment, but right.
Father,
Yes.
Talking about fire extinguishers. We have fire extinguishers.
Yes, we do, and you should probably all know where they are. I mean, there's some in the sides, and there's some in the back too. So ushers should familiarize themselves where the fire extinguishers are. Yes.
Yeah, I know in the past that the ushers used to help out with the baptism. Are you going to recruit some of them to do it? To set up the tables for it?
No, probably not. I have a whole nother group of people that takes care of that. So, the ushers have a lot on their plate as it is already. I don't want to give them baptisms too.
Well, no.
Although weddings might be helpful.
Few.
So no, the baptisms, when we do the baptisms, we don't have a whole lot to set up anymore. It's already set up before Mass. It's already
But
done.
they used to have to pour water in there and then bring the oil and
And then we pour the water during the baptism ceremony itself. We don't do it that way anymore, so we're good. Yeah. Yes.
The people that sit in the back room
Uh-huh.
can't see
Yeah, I know.
over the thing, so.
I know. However, just so you know, that chapel is not for permanent sitting.
Right.
It's not for permanent sitting. Somebody's not supposed to choose that as their seat for the whole Mass during Sunday Mass. That is for a family or a mother who has a child that is out of control or crying, to go back and console the child, and once the child's consoled, to come back and sit back down with their family. So usually, most times somebody's consoling a child, they're bouncing, and you can see definitely if you're standing. It's only if you're sitting. And it's not meant to be a place where people permanently go in. It's not to be a child care room. It's not to be a playroom for children to go in and bring toys so they can play during Mass. Absolutely, we're going to stop any of that. That's why it's been redesignated, renamed the chapel. Chapel of Our Lady of Consolation, whose icon's up there if you want to look now. And there are vigil lamps back there to be lit in front of it for those who want. But the designation for that area is only for consoling children, not for taking up permanent residence during Mass. So we gotta let them know that. Yes?
Saint, you mentioned at this point about that. My concern about we have sometimes this child that is screaming and running around. Can the usher, as a leader, can go to that person and say, "We offer this"?
Absolutely. I said that last week because there was a Mass when I could not even get through the Eucharistic prayer.
Yeah.
And the mother, but it's very rare because in the beginning of the Spanish Mass, there's always an announcement, please keep your children with you at all times, do not let them run around. That parent and that child were not typical. And the mother wasn't doing anything. That child was running everywhere. I mean, everywhere in the whole church. And she just sat there through the whole thing. Screaming at the top of his lungs. And afterwards, I said to the ushers, you are supposed to go to that mother and say, ma'am, you need to get your child now. And, you know, that's it. So they're not allowed to let the child go. Say, you have to get your child. I couldn't stop and say it. I mean, if it was a different part of the Mass, I could have said, excuse me, could the mother or the child please get the child and bring them back to their seat? I could say that nicely. However, I was in the middle of the Eucharist. I mean, this child was screaming and I couldn't even hear myself say the words. I had to scream louder than the child for people to hear. And that was crazy. So, yes, ushers are empowered to go to the parent and say, you must go get your child, and the child must remain with you, not permitted to run around the church.
Or you can do it as a command if you have a child and offer her before, because I did that one time. It was a new family. He said, oh, I didn't know that. So then a few minutes later, he came out and went in that room. I offered in the beginning of that.
Carlos announces it every Mass, I believe, don't you?
Now,
Yeah, it's announced at every Mass. Carlos wasn't here for that Mass, but Carlos announces, your children stay with you at all times,
sometimes they come
and
late.
no chicle. Chicle. Gum, chiclets.
Oh,
No chewing gum in church.
that's a good announcement.
Yeah, they announce that at every Mass.
It's common sense for a parent to know that it's church.
It is common sense for a parent, but it's not the custom in certain nations.
That reminds me, the kids go into the bathroom downstairs. If
Yeah.
we don't see, if we know where they came from, we should just go tell the parent.
Right. I would prevent the child from going down. I'd say, hold on, I have to get your mother, or you can't go down there by yourself. They should not go downstairs by themselves. Now, I'm not talking about a teenager or something or other, but little kids going down there by themselves, that's just absolutely forbidden. That's too much of a danger. A child should never. But what would happen if the child fell down there?
Exactly.
And cut open their head and was bleeding on the floor or something or other? I mean, you just don't let a small child go downstairs by themselves. You also don't let them hang over the railings of a boat going across from Lewis to Cape May. I had to finally go indoors when I can't believe his parents are doing this. I'm like getting up, running after kids all the time. These are not my children, I cannot do this, but they're just all talking and smoking and the kids are hanging off the side of the boat and I'm thinking, oh my gosh. So, yes, not everybody has the same sensibility. Also, we have to remember in the Hispanic community, people come from rural parts of the country where, like when I was growing up in Philadelphia, children could go anywhere, anytime, by themselves. First graders walk a half mile to school. It was not out of the question then. And people coming from villages, they're used to letting the children wander from one person's house to another, saying hello. They are not as familiar with the possible dangers of letting a child be by themselves in a space that somebody could prey on them, so you don't want anybody preying on a child. Yes.
A lot of the times they've been out of toilet paper when I went to refill them.
Right.
Do we just tell the head usher? Who do we?
Well, you can tell the head usher and they let me know, and then I tell, now the good thing about it is sometimes Reuben is here on Sundays. He's not always here on Saturdays. But if he's here on Sundays, you know, he'll go down into the main supply area and bring more up and stock it. But if it's out, you just gotta let me know, and then I can say to Brian and to Reuben, you have to make sure you check that every Friday. It has to be stocked with toilet paper. You can't just put it in there, you know, at the beginning of a month and expect at the end of the month it's still there. You know, so you have to get enough. Yes, I agree. So you have to let me know. Because sometimes it is. Yes?
I saw, Father, in that room on the back, there is a candles now section, a frame. I'm thinking about people getting there and kids or children start running around the room and.
Well, kids are not supposed to be running around that room.
I know.
Like anywhere else.
But if somebody fell against that and the candle is light on, that you can have a fire or something there.
It's no different than a child running around up there and knocking over candles. So the thing is, if a child is back there, they shouldn't be back there by themselves.
Yeah,
they better be with a parent.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But
And if they're
I'm
not with a
thinking about
parent, then the ushers can say, I'm sorry, you're not allowed to be here by yourself. Where's your mother? Where's your father? Where's your family?
And what about that thing fall over or something? But that's what I mean. We should control behavior of people, but
Right. No, my bigger concern is there's no place to put your offering back there. You gotta trust them to bring it up here.
yeah.
So we may have 8 free candles back there right now. I don't know. I hope not.
I'll be that all free.
Oh, the donations, I thought you meant their envelope.
No,
People
donations.
used to sit back there in the cry room.
Right.
They always came out when we were collecting and, you know, dropped their thing in
Uh-huh.
a basket. I didn't realize you were talking about the candles, so there's no place for people to put money.
Yeah, it's the one that was over in front of the Sacred Heart.
Oh,
It's a one it's like the one that's in front of Our Lady Guadalupe.
Yeah.
I might get a different one, but for now I put that one in there. The emphasis on that was to make sure people know it's a place of worship.
Mm-hmm.
If you're in there, you're supposed to be still participating in Mass. You're not supposed to be in there to play, you know, on the floor with a board game or something. That's not what it's for.
Father, I have one more question. Since I volunteer in the food closet, a lot of people who come to Mass will say, where do you want me to put this? Well, I always said put it on the cedar chest. Well, the cedar chest got moved into the cry room.
It's going to be moved over to the other side, where the freezer is. It'll be moved.
Okay, because last week it was in the back of the church, right?
Well, I put it in the back of church so we could have people put it there if they need it. But I'm going to put. I don't know who keeps moving things when I move things, but I don't know what's going on with that. Yes, and keeps on moving the display with all of the booklets in it for the Hispanic community. Keeps on moving back there where it's not supposed to be. This vestibule will not even have that round table anymore.
Okay.
It's going to be the only table. There still will be that one off to the left for the ushers to keep things in they need, like counters or other kind of stuff. But otherwise, nothing is displayed in there. No handouts are in there. There's no place. That is for greeting people and that alone, so that we don't have that clutter or that congestion when people are trying to get in and out of church.
So the handouts then, the bulletin and everything,
It's on these buffets in here.
gotcha, okay.
Yeah. Or they'd be underneath so that people are not getting them before Mass, they're getting them after Mass, except for the 8 o'clock Mass, which has made itself the exception to that rule. They're still living in the 1970s. So that's a little bit different. I tried that fight before and I lost, so. Pat, you look like you had an answer to the question.
No, good.
Pat, no, this Pat.
Oh,
No, okay. Let me see if I missed anything else here. Oh yeah, I just said when the ushers, at the end of Mass, If the ushers are at the other doors, then all those people also get greeted going home and saying goodbye to and get their bulletin and whatever they need. That way we don't have to have 5 or 4 ushers all in the back. And it's always okay for an usher to recruit somebody to help you to give things out, especially a child, especially a young person, because we want to encourage young people to get involved. So if you have somebody say, can you help me? You want to help me pass these out? And then the kids like, well, yeah. So that's good. Then you give them the one thing and you take the other thing and they hand them out. Any other questions about those? All right. How about I let, therefore, all of the current ushers who already have gotten all the guidelines, you have the guidelines, I ask you to just refamiliarize yourself with those, read through them again to see if there's anything else you need. The new ushers, I want to do 2 things with you. If you have decided that you are going to remain an usher after hearing all of this daunting information, then I do want to fit you for a jacket. We supply the jackets. You can take that jacket home with you, or you can choose, there's going to be a place in the back there for them to hang up. You'll have your own zippered case to put it in with your name on it, and your jacket can stay back there so that you have the same jacket every time.
And when you order name tags, I need one.
Name tags, remind me.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you have to sign in back there.
Wait.
What am I looking for? Something for him.
Experience ushers.
And I had it. I don't know what I did with it. I bet you I left it in the rectory. So today and this weekend, the bishop speaks at all the masses by video, and I put the faith and charity envelopes there. So for you ushers who are already serving, all the extra ones are also back on those buffet tables, so that if one of the pews runs out, which I doubt it very rarely, then you can always give somebody one that's looking for
I
one.
don't understand why they mail us this information and then they ask you to sit through that
Because-
video and then fill out the form here. I prefer to just mail it in.
Nor do I, nor do most of the priests.
But what
We're all like,
Waste of paper, waste of postage, waste of time.
right.
Either do it in church or mail it,
Mm-hmm.
not do both.
The one you
Certainly, you're certainly singing to the choir here, that's for sure. I kind of feel the same way. I don't do most of the stuff. I'm on video. I do everything I'm told.
Yes, we know, Father.
Oh, we had to cut that part out, the previous part. So, yeah. All right. If those of you who are already ushers, have been ushers for a while, would want to go, I'll stay with the new ushers just for a little bit to ask them a few questions and see, with jackets. Anybody who's a new usher who is deciding that you do want to be an usher still, after finding out that you're now carrying 4 or 5 hats, please, next to your name where you check new, put right next to there, because I didn't put a space for it, which mass you go to, so I know which mass. And then we're going to go back here in the sacristy. I'll show you the sacristy if you don't know, I'm not familiar with the sacristy. And I'll show you jackets, and we'll see if we can find jackets that are your size, or whether I have to order another one or more. Name tag? Yeah, name tag. Yeah, that's what Pat said, we have to order a new name tag. So make sure Carlos knows that you need a name tag, because he's the head usher. Make sure he writes down all the names that need to be, and he gets the correct spelling. So, are you going? Are you going to be
Sí, yo lo tengo en el teléfono. O yo se lo de ahora, déjame apuntarlo. Pero es que yo no sé si todo el mundo tiene. No tiene, ¿verdad? Tú no tienes, y Victoria tiene, Benjamín no tiene, y José no tiene. José López.
All right, so come back and I'll show you the jack.
Bueno, no son muy...
About safety, this is a trip hazard. There's visual problems, people, walkers.
Ready, con dos
It looks nice, but it is a trip hazard.
Well, we're gonna have to get over it, because I'm keeping it.
Igual la ley.
But, it's the same thing. What's that? Catch them when they fall? We haven't had anybody tripping yet, which is, I've been watching.
Yeah,
So,
I-
carefully watching as people come to communion in line. And they're not looking, you know, when you're going. So, they've done pretty good so far. So far. I thought I brought it with me, but I didn't. I left it at the rectory, so I'm gonna go over and get it now, as soon as I.
Yes.
Yes. Come on, we're going back here. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Still recording, Father.
Oh, shoot. Still